make a video about the 5 relationship mistakes that I often see couples make. So the first one is what I will call persistent complaining. So a lot of us have persistent complaints about our partner, and persistent complaint is it's kind of a story, something that you make up and you really believe to be true about your partner. It becomes like a filter through which you see your partner. The story could be, oh, he doesn't love me, she doesn't respect me, he never listens to me. And then what you end up doing is spending your entire existence searching for evidence for the story that you've made up to be true. The problem is, if you really hold on to that belief and you're always looking and seeking for that to be true, you will find it. It's actually a self-fulfilling prophecy. So it's much more encouraging to kind of make up a more empowering story and seek that out. Big mistake that people make is they're seeking out what they don't want to find as opposed to seeking out what they do want to find. So that's kind of a good tip for kind of getting a relationship back on track. The next mistake that I often see couples falling into is laziness. They stop dating their partner. They take each other for granted, and they, maybe to an extent they've let themselves go, and they don't dress nicely, or they don't wear nice underwear anymore, and they don't groom themselves in a particular way. And it's kind of this misunderstanding that just because you signed a marriage contract, you can kind of chillax and not really put much effort in. And it's like, I've got a contract, it's your duty to love me in my tracksuit at all times. Really not the case. You've got to not fall into that pattern of laziness. Your partner's job is not to handle you as you are or just take you as you are. Your job as a good spouse is to kind of really remember what it is that your partner was first attracted to by you, and to keep really putting effort in to generate that. Keep putting effort in to date your partner. Keep putting effort in to kind of make that difference. The next mistake that I see is really thinking that the solution to your problems is outside of the relationship. So the problem is my husband, the problem is my wife, and if I just left this relationship, everything would be fantastic. The trouble with that is that what I find, because particularly with the divorce rate, the second marriage divorce rate is about 70%, the third marriage divorce rate is about 83%, it's the kind of global statistics. So it actually just keeps going, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. And what it really shows is that people are not learning the lessons they need to learn in their first marriage. They just keep making the same mistakes over and over again. And this mistake of thinking the problem is your partner and the solution is somehow outside of the relationship is one of the big ones. So in every relationship, if you have a challenging time that you're going through, you've got to kind of confront that problem head on and see if you can get some help and actually fix it. There's a level of evolution you need to go through in a relationship. And often what's happening when you're grappling or you're dealing with something really challenging, there's a level of evolution that can then happen that then kicks the relationship into the next level and the next phase. So there's often, my parents often say, I'm really lucky that I've fallen in love at least 5 or 6 times in my life. It just all happens to be with the same person. And I really like that. It's like there's levels of evolution that you have to go through, and levels of acceptance and new appreciation and respect to kind of keep generating yourself and co-creating your relationship to fall in love with that same person over and over again. The next mistake that I see people make, and it kind of goes hand in hand with thinking the solution is outside of your relationship, is infidelity. Now, defining it as a mistake is it's kind of a controversial point, but what I'm really saying here is there's levels of infidelity. The innocent kind of flirtation that you have with somebody at work, the WhatsApp or Facebook relationship that you're maintaining and flirting with somebody, the kind of, getting into yourself into a whole kind of pickle where you're actually imagining a life with somebody else, all of that is kind of classed under infidelity. Because it's all you fracturing yourself into different pieces to reclaim some piece of yourself or solve some problem of your relationship outside of the relationship. That is not a solution, and it's a real mistake that a lot of couples make, is they start seeking kind of outside affirmation and outside, ways of getting their needs met, instead of focusing inside the relationship and focusing on how they can get those needs met inside their marriage. And then I think the final kind of mistake that a lot of couples make, and they fall into over and over again, and for me this is the most devastating one, is if they're in trouble, they seek help way too late. People that go to marriage counseling is notoriously hard and has very low success rates. And it's not because the counseling itself is necessarily not great. The problem is that people go way too late. They wait till the last minute. They wait till there's literally the relationship's on death's door, and now this final kind of throw of the dice is supposed to save things. It doesn't work that way. It's a constant journey. It's a constant commitment to kind of working on yourself, working on the relationship, working on each other. And those are the kind of ingredients to kind of maintain a long, sustainable relationship. So I hope that kind of answers the kind of thing about what those questions or what those challenges are, mistakes that we see people make over and over again, and hope it gives you some food for thought. Thanks.